them know. Them know say I be bad commando.
Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "We are not makers of history, we are made by history." This is how it all started, my poetic story. Back when I was young, I never fancied poetry much. I never liked it per se. I felt it was just conjoined words just to create some kind of expression. I felt poets were wasting their time. Never liked it like that, though. But I actually read poems. My intention was to study law in university, so English was so important and literature especially. So I had to do some literature reading. Got exposed to some poems, to Bolishinka's Abiku, to Shakespeare's. Having to read Shakespeare's drama, having to been exposed to his sonnet and some other stuff. I haven't read Andrew Marvel. Yeah, Andrew Marvel's To His Coy Mistress. That made me feel somehow. Why would a man just describe a woman using expression, using the years, describing her sexuality? I felt it was like a waste of time. So I had no choice than to push through because I needed literature for my JAM. JAM, that's UTME as fondly called. It's a special interest exam you write to enter a public university, whether federal or state. And getting this admission in the public universities isn't easy at all because you have to write the WAEC. First and foremost, write the WAEC. Then after you have gotten the required credit, you go for your JAM, which is the UT. And I had to write my UT exams 4 times because getting the admission isn't easy. The exams isn't that easy. So it was the 4th attempt. I got the right cutoff mark, the mark I needed. So I proceeded into the post-UME. Post-UME is a special exam organized by the public universities, federal or state. So once you pass this post-UME, you're able to gain admission fully into university. Luckily, I passed that. I was given admission to the University of Benin, Nigeria, to study English and literature. Surprise! Because I initially wanted to study law, but I was given a course, and getting admission in Nigeria isn't easy, so I continued. Though it wasn't easy at first, studying that course. Studying the course, sorry. It wasn't easy at first, having to acclimatize with the new aspect of the language, or the literature aspect. It wasn't that easy, but I was able to flow with the entire system. So it was my 3rd year when I encountered a particular course. So I encountered this course, my penultimate year, that's my 3rd year. It was a course, I can't remember the exact course code now, but I knew the course title was Romantic Poetry. Romantic poetry is a kind of poetry that was in the time of the 18th century, just around the time of the French Revolution, when Napoleon Bonaparte actually led the French Revolution against the authoritative monarchs and so on. So I fell in love with 2 poets, the British poet of that romantic period, that romantic era, Samuel Taylor Coleridge and William Wordsworth. Actually, we had to do an assignment then. It was like a field work or an assignment. We had to go to the main library, John Harris Library in the University of Benin, to do some research on the prefix of the lyrical ballad, written and co-written by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So I fell in love with that kind of poetry because it exposed me to poetry. I'm a poet today is all because of that period of poetic history. There were writers that looked at poetry in terms of nature, spontaneous flow of feelings, a man falling in love with nature. Romantic poetry doesn't necessarily mean I'm talking about a man's love for a woman. No, I'm making reference to a man's love for nature, his environment, for culture. So when you look at that, I just fell in love with that brand of poetry. So that was when I actually started my poetic journey. But it wasn't easy. There was some push because I had classmates and friends then who were very good at writing, very good in poetry and so on. So they prepped me. So they were writing then. It was like a challenge. They even told me, when are you going to write your first poem? So I was wondering, when am I going to get involved with this poetry? How am I going to get involved with it? How am I going to start it? So I was bothered, worried, thinking, So I just one day I picked up my pen. So let me try out something. I was at home in my room. But there was some help anyway because I had to check through the lyrical ballads, the poems written by Samuel T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth. So I encountered Samuel Coleridge's poem, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, or of an Ancient Mariner, Rime of an Ancient Mariner per se. So I looked at the poem, very long poem, very long. I looked at the poem, I just loved the way it described nature, the time at the sea and so on. So I borrowed a line from that in writing my first poem. And I titled my first ever poem, Rhythms of a Modern Mariner, which I hold dear to my heart, which is a poem I hold dear to my heart. So it exposed me to man's love for nature because Rhythms of a Modern Mariner talked about man's love for its nature, how he embraces it and so on. So from there on, my life changed for poetry. Ever since that time, I've been improving in it. I'm not bragging. I don't feel that I'm the best poet ever, but every day I improve in my poetry. And that was actually 2014. 2014 was actually the year I wrote my first poem. And since that time till now, that I've been moving from grace to grace, all by the glory of God. And I'm still pushing through. So I encourage you to, whatever profession you are in, never stop. No matter how small it is, how small the beginning is, or how challenging it is, never stop. Push through, strive, fight on. Because it's not so easy for me. Sometimes I post poems, some persons don't respond, the reviews I get are low, but I push on because I know I'm doing that poem. Because I'm writing that poem, believing that someday, in the nearest future, I'll get what I've always wanted, that dream of being one of the greatest poets on earth, if not even the greatest. So I push on with that hope and that dream, and I believe you too can push with your dream. So that's how it all started for me, my poetic story. Back to my song.
They don't send me many years ago when I dey hustle for the streets on